wanna know his secret?
To my channel, I'm going to show you today how to make a New Orleans style seafood gumbo. One of my favorite dishes, and it's soon to be yours. You'll need flour and oil. You'll need a couple of cans of chicken stock, boneless, short thighs, drumettes, sausage, hot, mild, your choice. I like to make hot sausage balls, so I'll take the hot sausage patties or the links, squeeze them out of the casing and make hot sausage balls. Of course, you need shrimp, crab, if it's available in your area, and the New Orleans trinity of bell pepper, celery, and onion. So, let's begin.
Go ahead and rinse your vegetables. Your trinity of onions, celery, and bell pepper should be rinsed and diced before you make your roux. You don't have to have as many bell peppers as I have here. Maybe 4 to 6 bell peppers. Just this one standard color will be fine. After rinsing, you're going to go ahead and cut them. Get the seeds and guts out. Slice, dice, set it aside with your celery and your onions. I just like to have a variety of colors in my gumbo, and having all of these colors just makes it really beautiful and makes it stand out. The flavor is already going to be terrific. This just adds a little more. So again, you don't need to have all of these. 4 to 6 green bell peppers, 2 onions, 1 or 2 stalks of celery. I'm actually doing 2 big pots of gumbo. So if you're just doing 1 pot, you can cut this down to size. You can also get diced onions, celery, and sometimes bell pepper already chopped. So you don't need to do this labor if you can already get it chopped. I like to go ahead and chop mine. Lastly, your parsley and green onions. They're going to be added last, but you still want to have them rinsed and diced. So when it's time to throw them in, that's less work you have to do later. Quick note, whenever you're cutting your bell peppers, cut off the cap. And you want to slice it right in between those white membranes. You don't want the membrane, you don't want the seed. This goes in the garbage. And then with the cap, again, you don't want the membrane, which is the white, like veiny part. You're gonna just cut. And then you can put this either in your chopper or your dicer, or you can dice it and chop it yourself. Just a quick note on how to cut a bell pepper, or at least how I do. And please don't laugh at my cutting board. I had to use this cookie sheet because my cutting board is being used somewhere else. After you finish dicing or chopping your onions, bell pepper, and celery, your trinity that will be added to the roux after the roux has darkened, you're going to add your meat somewhere down the line. But in the meantime, you should always clean your chicken. Although fat equals flavor, you do want to clean this off as much as possible, just so that it's not too much grease floating on the top of your gumbo. Like I said, you don't have to clean all the fat off, but you want to clean a lot of it off, just so that your food is just perfect, okay? You're also going to dice your sausages, and you're going to brown off your drumettes. Putting your meats in the oven while your roux is darkening, or while your seasonings are being blended in with the roux, makes your meat not be greasy. Therefore, you won't have a greasy gumbo.
That you can make your roux, which is the base for your gumbo. One way is to lightly brown the boneless short thighs that you're going to add to your seafood or chicken and sausage gumbo. Lightly brown both sides, and then after removing the chicken, you're going to use that leftover oil, which is now flavored with the chicken. You're going to thicken it by maybe a half a cup up to a full cup of flour.
stirring often over a low fire for about 30 to 40 minutes until that white or beige color is either a peanut butter color or a chocolate. The darker the roux, the nuttier or the stronger the taste or flavor will be for your gumbo. So again, lightly flour the boneless short thighs. You're not going to completely fry this. Just brown it on both sides and reserve it in a plate. And after you've done all of your chicken pieces, you're going to add half a cup up to a full cup of flour, whisking and stirring until you have a nice caramel or peanut butter color up to a chocolate color. Another way that you can make your roux is in this method and use half a cup or 1 cup of vegetable oil. Heat this and then whisk in an equal amount of flour. And you're going to stir this, and stir this either with a whisk or a wooden spoon until this beige color darkens and makes a beautiful caramel, peanut butter, or chocolate color. You don't want to rush it, you don't want to walk away from the stove, but you don't want to burn it. This is the roux, the base of your gumbo. It's been about 15 or 20 minutes with the oil and flour, straight oil and flour. I've been whisking and waiting, and now we have this deep, dark, chocolate, nutty, you can smell it, roux. My final batch of chicken, I'm lightly browning in oil. Then I'm going to add flour to this skillet and make my second roux. Like I said, you're not frying the chicken, just lightly browning it so you can have a flavored oil, add the flour, and have this roux. Now that you have your roux, the color that you desire, either a caramel color, peanut butter, light brown, chocolate, now you want to add your Trinity. Add your Trinity to the roux while the roux is hot. Don't let it chill down or get cold. Stir pretty fast. It's going to simmer down. Your heat should be low now. This is going to cook down for just 5 minutes. Watch it, make sure it doesn't burn. Turn it down if need be. 5 minutes. Then you're going to add all of your broth. What I'm going to do is transfer this to a larger pot. I'm going to add my broth. You can add a vegetarian broth, a chicken broth, whatever broth you like. You could have boiled down some crab shells and shrimp shells and made your own homemade seafood broth. Again, I'm adding the Trinity, the celery, onions, and bell pepper to the roux. The roux needs to be hot or warm. Blend it together over low heat, stirring briskly like you see I'm doing. It's going to cool down. After 5 minutes, you're going to go ahead and add your broth. 64 ounces or more. And I'm going to add I'm going to add about 8 cans to each of my pots, tasting to flavor. And this is going to simmer for 45 minutes to an hour. After which, we'll add our meats, shrimp and crabs last, some filet, and you're good to go. And you add a little garlic towards the end. This garlic does tend to burn if you put it in too quick. After 5 minutes, we're going to add our broth. So I've added the broth to both pots. As you can see, I changed my pots from the small to the larger pots that can hold the roux and the broth. I added 2 large cans, and they're about, how many ounces? 42 ounces. 2 42-ounce cans in each, and either 4 or 6 smaller cans. You only need to fill it up halfway because you're going to have a lot of meat to consume the rest of the space. This is going to cook for an hour and a half. 1.5 hours. So it gives you time to clean as you go. Make sure your meats have been cooked off. Give it a good hour and a half, and we'll be back to add the meats that you've cooked off. You've drained the grease, and at the end you will add the the crabs and the shrimp. See you in an hour and a half. After your gumbo has been simmering for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, skimming any extra oil off the top, you're going to add your crab meat, and you're going to add your sausages, hot sausage, andouille, mild, whatever sausage you have. Don't add your chicken yet, because if it's in there too long, it'll start to break up and shred, and it's just not preferred. So as you can see with the crab, get in there, tear that shell off, clean both halves. After the juices get in here, this is so good. This is a very special part of New Orleans seafood gumbo. Is these good boys. Gumbo with a lot of crab claws, crab body, shrimp. Yes, that's what you're looking for. Come on, get out of there. So after you break them in half and give them a good cleaning, I'm going to go ahead and add them straight to your gumbo. And this is the gumbo that's been cooking for 2 hours now. My sausages are in here. My hot sausage balls that were rolled by hand are in here. I did add some bay leaves, and it's looking pretty good. Here's the other one on this side. I'm doing 2. I like to keep stirring the bottom, making sure nothing is sticking to the bottom. If you have really thick, good pots, you don't need to stir as much. But if sometimes you have a little thinner pot, little inexpensive pots, stir occasionally, making sure you scrape that bottom. You don't want to burn your gumbo. So now we're coming to the end of our gumbo. The chicken has been added an hour after the sausage. And now we're going to add the shrimp. Adding the shrimp last. I'm adding the shrimp last because it's easiest to cook. And voila. These flavors are going to all cook together. Give that broth very nice taste. After which we're going to add parsley, green onions, maybe a few more bay leaves, and some filet seasoning from New Orleans. Serve this over rice, and you are good to go. This will be ready in about 30 more minutes